Königssee in Bavaria, in the deepest, darkest, southern easternmost corner of Germany. We're at the oldest ice track in the business, ready for the second heat, race 4 of the Viessmann FIBT World Cup Skeleton for men. Hello everybody, Martin Haven getting ready to enjoy the action as we go 20 down to 1 in the second heat to decide the medals here in Königssee, just outside the town of Berchtesgaden. And sitting alongside me is Kiwi slider Ben Sanford. Dramatic first heat here, and right down at the bottom of the track, Ben, always exciting.
Yeah, the exit of Kreisel on this track is really important, and the part after the exit of Kreisel is the flick-flacks or the chicane, and you see here Ander just got it wrong, and it's just very messy when you get it wrong.
Alexander Tretyakov, we always expect to be fast at the start, and he was. He drove himself down into third place after the first heat, but he's not the top Russian. Oh no. 19-year-old Nikita Tregibov, his second ever World Cup race. Another very fast start, just a whisker behind his teammates, but he is a whisker in front after what was a very smooth first run. Ben, he looks the real deal here.
Yeah, like you said, very smooth, very good lines, good start, young slider, a lot of potential, he's got good equipment. It really looked like he got his equipment right today.
And the Russians, of course, are chasing Dukurs, but this time it's not Martins that has the lead. He's in fourth position after a bit of a loose first run. Thomas Dukurs, though, stepped into the breach and keeps the family flag flying, and that of Latvia. He leads after the first heat, but the top three are very close. They're covered by just 0.05 of a second, with Martins Dukurs 0.15 behind. Martins is our World Cup leader. And there is another future World Cup leader, I'm sure, for the Latvian women's programme. So what about this race, Ben? Is Martins Dukurs going to be able to find the 1500s or maybe more that he needs to win this race?
Yeah, you can never count Martins Dukurs out. He's a fantastic slider. He's got a great push. He'll be looking to really come back in the second heat and have a top run and, you know, aim for the podium. And I'm sure he'll be wanting to win this race.
Well, the weather's very changeable. We had snow at the start, rain further on down the track in Heat 1. It's rained a little bit less and then snowed a little bit more. Now it seems to be drizzling with rain again as we get ready for Heat 2. What are you going to do? I mean, the athletes have a chance to adapt the setup of the sled slightly. Is that something that you'd be recommending in this weather?
Yeah, it could be something that the athletes are thinking about. They would have chosen their runners knowing that the weather isn't going to be good today. We were expecting a lot of snow. We haven't got a lot of snow. It's a little bit wetter than we thought it was going to be, maybe a little bit warmer. So maybe the athletes were a little bit conservative. Some of them might have been a little bit conservative in the first round. So they're going to change the rock, which is the bend in the blades on the sled. And maybe they're going to put those up. Maybe they were too high in the first run, they might adjust those for the second heat. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting race. Our
start list goes 20 to 1 in order of their first heat appearance, speed rather. So the fastest will go last. So we go last to fast. 28 sleds started the first heat. The fastest 20 go through. The time for both runs counts. The cumulative total deciding the winner. Ready to get the fourth race of the World Cup underway. Heat 2 here, the deciding run. Yuki Sasahara of Japan. Martin Haven alongside me in the booth, watching trackside Ben Sanford. And Yuki on the bubble in the top 20 for 4 or 5 sleds. Just clung on to get a second heat.
It's an interesting feeling when you're 20th going into the second heat. You've really got nothing to lose, so you can gamble a little bit with your setup of the sled. You can risk a little bit more in your steers because you're in 20th and you want to pick up places, and you might as well just give it a go.
And of course the advantage is you can't drop any lower than 20th because there are only 20 sleds in, so you've got that safety net.
Yeah, you'll be in the leader's box no matter what.
1:17.7 is decent speed onto the Kreisel.
Yeah, and Yuki's looking good there in the Kreisel, not steering too much, getting that line, not too high. Nice through the chicane.
Well, only one slider who started outside the top 20 made it into the heat. We'll see him in a couple of sleds' time. That was Barrett Martineau of Canada. Yuki a little quicker into and out of the Kreisel in the first run. And Ben, with the weather changing all the time, you're going to find different vagaries of climate changing your run as well.
Yeah, you are. Like you said before, it was snowing at the top of the track and it was raining at the bottom. We're only maybe 50 metres in height difference here, but it makes quite a big difference.
Nice load from him.
Yeah, that was a good run from Yuki, like nice and relaxed on the sled. You see him just leaning a little bit there to the left to get the entrance into the first corner. Around Kreisel here, you'll be able to see him using his toes to steer in the second pressure. There he puts out his toe, keeps the sled on a lower line.
A much better speed off the Kreisel. He was 2 kilometers an hour quicker, which doesn't sound like a huge amount, but when you're measuring hundredths of a second, that's a big advantage. So Yuki Sasahara of Japan is our race leader. Evan Neufeld, one of 3 Canadians to make it into the second heat. So the entire Canadian team got through. Ryan Davenport built sled. Long-time Canadian slider, still building sleds. And like the Bromley, it's always got a long platform, hasn't it? The platform length sort of determined by the sled designer rather than the athlete.
Yeah, you don't see too many Davenports around at the moment. They used to be the most popular sled in the world and a lot of people were using them, but only a couple of the Canadians in the World Cup are using them at the moment.
Racing in Canada this weekend in Whistler, the North America's Cup. So I want to say hello to everybody who's watching there on YouTube. Katie Tannenbaum sent me a message overnight saying that they were watching the coverage, or whatever ungodly hour it is on the west coast of Canada at the moment.
Nice run so far from Evan.
Yeah.
A little bit high there on the second pressure in Kreisel, using his toe for the third pressure. A little bit of a tap on the exit and not the cleanest line through the flick-flacks, but he'll be hoping to maintain that speed.
Little better speed at the bottom than in his first heat. Straight looks a lot wetter than it did in heat 1. This could be very close. He's come down from 48 hundredths up into the red and drops behind. So he had a little better speed off the Kreisel, but couldn't control it. Second place for him, that means Yuki Sasahara. If he has gambled a little on setup, it seems to have worked a bit for him.
This is Evan's first season on the World Cup, and it really is a learning experience for him. First World Cup race here in Königssee. A little bit of a bump there on the exit of Kreisel, and it just sets him up badly for the rest of the chicane. You see it just sort of throwing him around, his feet are sideways, and takes that tap right before that left-hand corner there.
Well, listen, you're a long, tall athlete. Does that make it any more difficult to get through those little flick-flacks at the bottom, being longer?
Yeah, it's sort of a discussion a lot of people have on the circuit, like what is the ideal height for skeleton?
It seems to be there doesn't have we don't have an ideal height yet, but the men's field is getting taller and faster and stronger. This is Ed Smith from Great Britain, and he needs to get faster. Struggling with injury at the moment. We saw him limping after the first heat, and that plays out in the start. His start should be well inside the top 10, maybe in the top 4 or 5 starters. But he was only the 25th fastest away, and he loads it is a very short run here, Ben, but he loads very early, right on the brow.
Yeah, he does, and he's covered in kinesio tape under that speed suit and really not comfortable, and you saw that in the way he's pushing. He just doesn't look fluid or easy when he's running.
Well, there is no rest now, just one weekend with no racing before the World Championships at the end of February.
Yeah, it's a difficult schedule. I think it's 7 weeks in a row, racing week after week and training every day, and you know, it's difficult when you need to get in shape at the same time.
1:16.7, that's quicker than the speed he had in his first run, or that's a fraction slower, actually. Oh, and very wild.
Yeah, that was a nasty run through the flip-flacks there.
More bumps and bruises to add to the pain he's suffering already. This will drop him down to 20th place. Well, he's really not having the World Cup he wanted. Injury early in the season never goes away, Ben. It just follows you around. You know, when you hurt your back early in the year, you just spend the whole year feeling out of sorts.
Yeah, it's so difficult when you're on the World Cup circuit to be competing and trying to rehab at the same time. It really just doesn't work properly. Here you see him coming out of Kreisel, and he's trying to hold the sled on, but the sled comes out of Kreisel. He hits that left wall, and that just sets him up really badly for the rest of the flick-flacks.
Well, drama for Ed Smith. He drops down to the bottom of the order. Yuki Sasahara of Japan is our race leader with 17 to go. Canada's Barrett Martineau, 15th at the start. The only man outside of the top 20 who made it in to the 20 race cut. 28 sleds started the first heat. Only the fastest 20 ever go through. Barrett Martineau of Canada, 17th place after the first heat. Good, clean run from him in some fairly trying conditions here at a rainy Königssee in Bavaria. Martin Haven, Ben Sanford watching the action trackside. And Ben, fortunately, in the warm and the dry at the commentary booth rather than the miserable wet ice of the track.
Yeah, it is pretty miserable outside.
479, he's up the ante at the start, a couple of hundreds. Means business here.
Barrett, another new slider on the World Cup. Quite a young Canadian team, not a whole lot of experience on the World Cup, but out here in Germany and trying to get into the top 15.
Well, maybe new to the World Cup, but of course has been sliding before in the Intercontinental Cup, Europa Cup, North America's Cup, the levels below, so he's got a little bit of experience of this track, but not a great deal. It was 117.2 into the Kreisel last time, so he's lost a little bit of speed, but he's still in front of Yuki Sasahara of Japan, who had a really good second run.
Yeah, a few problems on the run down, but generally okay, and he should hold his spot.
Oh, no! Drops behind. Yuki still in the leader's box. He's picking them off. Sasahara's first run, 52.6. His second, 52.2. He found 0.4 of a second in Heat 2. And that's why he's climbing the order. There's a very close group of athletes here. Barrett Martineau in second place, ahead of teammate Evan Neufeld.
Here you see Barrett in the S curves, and this is S2 going into S3. S3, you really want to have a bit of height. You can see him quite close to the roof there and coming into S4, which is going to set you up for that long bend away straight.
Well, there is Bear. And his teammate Kevin Boyer took second place in the Europa Cup race in St. Moritz during the week. This is Mattia Gaspari, one of the two Italians, the only one to make it into the second heat. 16th after Heat 1. And he was just a few hundreds in front of Barrett Martineau. So he has 43 hundredths advantage over Yuki Sasahara. Remains to be seen in these changeable conditions whether that is enough. It's been raining pretty much all day, and Ben Sanford, that means that the straightaway is getting wetter and wetter, and it seems perverse to say that ice can be more skiddy, but it will be more skiddy.
Yeah, it will be a little bit more skiddy, and it'll also be softer as well, so that means that when you are skidding, you're going to be losing even more time because of the soft ice. Mattia, another relatively new slider to the World Cup, but showing a lot of potential. I've been quite impressed with his lines this week in Königssee. Skidding a little bit there in the bend away, but clean through the bottom is really important leading into Kreisel.
It always seems to be one of the hardest things is that you slide down the track, you get a feel for it, and then the track changes, and you've got to relearn it on every slide.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you get when you keep coming back to a track. Like, you learn the track, but you also get familiar with the weather conditions and what equipment is best for the track. And so the more you can come back to the track, the better it's going to be for you as an athlete.
Still 6/10 up. This is a good second run from Mattia Gaspari as he eases Yuki Sasahara out of the leader's box. 52.01 slides, 0.2 quicker than the Japanese one on that run alone, and at 16 hundredths better than his first heat. So Sasahara found a lot of extra speed in Heat 1.
Hey, you see Mattia pushing the sled. He's pushing on the right-hand side. He's got his hand down on the groove. Into position quickly, head nice and low. Coming out of the S4 corner here, and you really want to set yourself up for the bend away. And you see he just comes out at not the exact angle that he wants, and he's looking towards the left wall, and that just sends the sled into a bit of a skid, which is going to cost him a bit of time.
Mattia Gaspari, our race leader. 5 down, 15 to go here in Königssee, Bavaria. Sergei Chudinov of Russia, 15th after the first heat, off 7th best start. Martin Haven alongside me, Ben Sanford. Ben, disappointing slide. His two teammates are second and third. He's languishing way down the top 20.
Yeah, he is. Unusual position here for Sergei. He's been training here in the preseason and was very fast. He's been fast in training this week, and I don't know exactly what went wrong in the first run, but he'd be wanting to fix that for this heat and, you know, really climb a few spots.
Well, it didn't look like a bad drive. It was one of those where the speed just seemed to be dropping off the sled all the way.
Nice lines through the snake corners. taking that tap in the bend away, and then you've got to try and thread the needle at the bottom here before you get into Kreisel.
Not working too hard. 1:17.4 is decent speed.
Using his feet in the Kreisel to steer.
He had 1:12.4 down at the bottom here last time round. 1:13, better speed, so tidier run through the doodles.
Nice line coming out of Echo and heading uphill here.
Only 600s in front. It might not be enough. It's not enough.
Wow.
He loses a place. Mattia Gaspari climbs one. Nice smile from Willi Schneider, but there's something about Chudi's run. Again, that didn't look horrendous, did it?
No, it didn't. That looked like a pretty decent run. And with that run and with his push, I would have said that he would have been in the lead. But maybe he's chosen some sharp runners for today and they're just too sharp for the soft ice.
52.09 slide, 800 slower than Gaspari on that run.
Yeah, you see him coming out of Kreisel. It's a decent line out of Kreisel. Reasonably smooth through the chicane. Just rolling with the banks of ice into that left-hand corner, and that's fine.
The driving was good, and again in the first heat, and you then look at the contact patch. You look at what he's doing with the runners, and that, whatever he's gambled on, didn't work. He might have been a hero, but not today. Christoph Groher of Germany, former junior world champion in skeleton, the 22-year-old. 15th, 4th and 12th are his results this season. So standout performance in Calgary, only just off the podium. Not going to do that here though, not a 14th in the first heat.
Christoph is a very good slider and he knows this track very well. It's one of the German home tracks and he'll definitely be wanting to get into the top 10.
4:79 start, same as his first heat. That's a top 12 getaway, not top 2 or 3, so he's losing time there, but I don't think there was more to it in the first run. That's not a bad hit.
No, sets him up quite well for the lower bend away and into Kreisel. Nice line through the first part of Kreisel, not staring too much in the second or third pressures.
Equal faster speed with Yukinori Sasahara.
Smooth through the chicane there.
1:14.9, fastest we've seen at the bottom. This is a better run from Groher. Maybe he was too conservative the first time with the runners, maybe too aggressive, and he's made an adjustment, and that seems to have worked. 51.84, 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second nearly quicker than his first run.
Yeah, that was a nice looking run from Christopher.
That would have left him in the top 10 in heat 1. Only just, but it would, which is better than 14th. Let's see if it gets him up into the top 10 at the end of heat 2.
Here he is in Echo corner at the bottom of the track and getting quite high there in the middle of the corner. You really want to push that pressure around, and really good speed there, 114.8.
Well, you get so little time on the ice bend. 6 training runs, 2 competition runs to fine-tune the balance of the sled over 4 days where the weather changes. You're constantly chasing a moving target. Getting the right setup must be, you know, a season occasion, really.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully you hit the target a few more times than that and get it right more than you don't get it right.
Next up, Dave Krajcechin of Canada, 35-year-old from Brampton, Ontario, our 4th starter out of the start shed. Not a bad-looking run from him till the Kreisel, and it kind of drifted away then.
Canada Dave, as he's often called on circuit, because he's got a long second name and few people can pronounce it apart from you.
Yeah, well, look at the name, Dave Krajcechin. That is the worst hand in Scrabble you'll ever have. You need multiple double world scores to get out of that. Dave or Grizz, they call him.
Nice line through the yes curves, taking that type of steering, using his foot there to avoid the right-hand wall at the bottom of the bend away.
300s back onto the straightaway. 1:17.6 is good speed as well.
Kreisel looks better than in the first run.
Can he get back? Still just 300s behind.
This is going to be too long on the corner.
1:13.2 is a kilometre now slower than he was in the first heat, and that shows. It's cost him a tenth. It'll cost him nearly 3/10 by the line. 4100s back, 52.26. So this time he was good all the way through the doodles, and it was the new Echo corner and the finish corners that cost him.
Yeah, just the corners at the bottom of the track there really cost him that time and that speed. And after the Echo corner, you're just going uphill, so any mistakes you make at the bottom, it's just going to be compounded and you're just going to be slow going uphill. Here you see him on the right-hand corner before Echo, and he's just too long on that corner and just flops off it. And that sets him up badly for this corner. So he's going to have the pressure probably too far around, which is a strange thing to say. And then you come off too early and you hit that right wall. And you're heading uphill there. So you really don't want to hit when you're going uphill.
Dave Grzechen in 4th place. Christopher Grotehair continues to lead. Knowledgeable and moist crowd watching here in Königssee, Bavaria, as Hiro Takahashi comes to the top of the track. Not quite, kung fu fighting, of course, by Charles Douglas. Okay, so Hiro 12th after the first heat. Let's see what the man from Nagano can produce. Former baseball player, 7th last week in Altenburg. It's another really technical driver's track. Let's see if he can creep up the order a fraction.
Takahashi's been really consistent last season and this season, like constantly either in the top 10 or just outside the top 10.
Carl Douglas and kung fu fighting, very appropriate for a man who thrives on Jackie Chan movies.
Nice smooth line through these snake corners. Takes that tap and then setting himself up for the end of the bend away and then into Kreisel.
He always seems to be one of those sliders who's relatively quiet on the sled. 1:18.3, the fastest we've seen onto the Kreisel.
Nice line through the chicane.
1600s, he could add another 10th to that lead over Christopher Grotehair. Fastest speed again that we've seen. Much quicker than his first run of 52.02. And he comes across the line, 51.7. Big improvement from both Japanese. Katsuhiro Koshi and the guys have sat together after the first run and gone, well, that didn't work. What are we going to do for Heat 2? And it's worked for both of them. They found a big chunk of time.
Yeah, that was a nice run from Takahashi-san. You know, really smooth, made it look easy. Got the stairs and Kreisel right and got the bottom of the track right. Yeah, you see him pushing the sled. Has a nice load onto the sled. Gets into position. Tucks those arms under the body and away he goes.
Even when you see it in natural speed, it looks like a slow motion load. It's definitely 2 parts, knees and then relax onto the sled, and not a bad straight either.
No,
So,
good run.
Hiro Takahashi is our race leader with still 11 sleds to come. And here is the young local boy, Kilian von Schleinitz. Family has lived in Bavaria for generations. Brother Julian slides for the German luge team in their World Cup squad. He's having a good season. Kilian, very disappointing first run.
Yeah, Kilian knows this track extremely well, and he's been very fast here in training all week. I think he gambled a little bit with his equipment choice today in the first run, maybe was a little bit too aggressive, and we'll see how that works out for him in the second heat.
Well, he was very quick in practice. He's got a good fast start. Let's see if he can adjust himself into today's conditions.
Yeah, nice and smooth through the bend away, taking that tap. Not too much work there to thread the needle at the bottom.
Really knew how to make that work, didn't he? 1:18.6, that's the fastest speed we've seen.
Nice line through Kreisel. Nice line out of Kreisel.
Full kilometre an hour better than his first run. That should see him into the 1:15s. Yeah, 1:15.4. Fastest run so far. 51.98 in the first heat. He'll be 2 or 3 tenths maybe inside that. 51.59, nearly 4 tenths of a second. And that's what he was missing in the first heat. And that would have left him in 5th place if he managed that time in heat 1. And that's what he showed us in training.
Absolutely. He's been training so well all week, and that run was fantastic. Really nice work from Kilian. Here he is in the S-curves. Going into S3, he'll get that height in S3 and use that to swing him into S4. Feels so good on the S-curves when you're going through there clean. Like, it really has a rhythm to it, and it's one of the best combinations of corners that we have in skeleton.
There is young Kilian von Schleinitz, our race leader here in Königssee, Bavaria, with 10 still to go. Kilian von Schleinitz from Berchtesgaden, Bavaria, leads the race here in Königssee. Martin Haven, Ben Sanford watching the action as we get into the top 10 in the second and deciding heat. Next up, Raphael Meyer of Austria. Had a really nice looking run. Not the fastest starter in the field, but the 22-year-old from Innsbruck had some great lines in heat one.
Yeah, only 22, and he feels like he's been around for years and years already.
4:89, only 24th fastest starter in the field at 28, and that's really his Achilles heel, because Ben, this is such a short track.
It is a short track, and it's less than 1.5 kilometers long, and so if you have a disadvantage at the start, it's going to take you, a long time. You need a long track to be able to get that back.
He's lost his first heat advantage over Kilian von Schleinitz, which was only 0.04 of a second. Now 4/10 behind nearly.
It's a smooth run, but he's still behind.
Well, he was 100th behind teammate Matthias Guggenberger in the first heat. So both of them might fall behind von Schleinitz. 4/10 back at the line. So he drops to 4th position. Kilian von Schleinitz might pick up another one in very short order here.
Deutschen Vornamen, Kilian! Das war ein guter Auftritt. Wie schwierig ist das bei dem Regen?
Yeah, Rafa won't be too happy with that run. It's always disappointing when you get to the bottom and you see that you've dropped places.
Well, he was in such a close group of athletes. We had 3 sleds, him, his teammate, and Kilian von Schleinitz covered by 500s in the first heat. And there was another 2 sleds inside a 10th. When you make one little mistake, Ben Sanford, that cost you all of those places.
Yeah, and you see him here coming out of S4 and just taking that tap on the right wall, and the athletes really don't want to tap on the right wall. You want to be clean coming out of there and take the tap on the left, and that sets you up for the bottom.
The big smile is there, but he's not in the leader's box. Teammate Matthias Guggenberger next. You can see Martin Rettel in the reflection of his chrome dome. 9th place after the first heat for the 30-year-old now from Innsbruck. Lies 4th in our World Cup rankings. 9th, 8th, 7th so far this season. Will he stay in the top 10? Great view of the track in his helmet as he comes towards the camera. 4:78 start.
Matthias is a very good athlete. Hasn't had the best luck with injuries in his career, but he's fit this season and going well.
Yeah, very happy to be fit at the start of the year in Lake Placid. He said, I probably shouldn't mention it, but so far it's doing him all right. 400s up.
Let's see how he does Kreisel here. He's using his toes to keep the sled down, get the line that he wants.
Nearly a kilometre an hour down on speed to von Schleinitz. Good run through the doodles. Just a hair's breadth in it. Little late flop.
Quite high there in the echo corner and taking that tap going uphill.
Losing lots of speed. So he's going to drop back down to maybe 3rd place. It is 3rd at the line. Von Schleinitz continues to climb the order. And the Austrians, Matthias Guggenberger 3rd, Raphael Meyer 5th. Ben, his first heat, 51.93, second, 51.9, so different mistakes.
Yeah, you see him here in the straight. He does the straight pretty well, takes that tap, had a little bit of trouble at the top of the straight, but here in the bottom of the track is where he has most of his problems. He's very high here in the middle of Echo corner, and then the second pressure in Echo, he gets very high and takes the tap. Here we have the replay of it. High on the exit, you're heading uphill here, and he takes quite a decent tap on the left-hand side.
Matthias Guggenberger walks back down as Matt Antoine gets ready to take on the track. And spoke with Zach Lund, the coach, between the runs. Said all 3 American guys underperformed in Heat 1 compared to how they looked after training. So sometimes with the changeable weather, the 8-ball moves a little. Let's see what Antoine can produce. 8th in the first heat. Another 10th would have seen him in the top 6.
Matt is our Olympic bronze medalist from Sochi and had a great season last year and carrying on this season with some good results.
Good in training, took a bronze medal in Lake Placid, the season opener. 6th in Calgary, only 15th last week in Altenburg there. That was coming down with a bump.
Nice this line nice and smooth and relaxed on the sled through the bottom of the bend away.
1:18.7, best speed we've seen so far. That's a good slide so far from Matt Antoine.
Yeah, nice exit of Kreisel and through the chicane cleanly. It's going to be all about the bottom of the track here.
1:15.0, little slower than Kilian von Schleinitz, our leader, but he's going to be in front of him at the line by 2800ths. Good run from Matt Antoine. He takes the lead, pushes the Bavarian back down into second place. Von Schleinitz will move up at the very least into no worse than 9th place.
Yeah, nice run from Matt there, nice and relaxed on the sled. Nice Kreisel. Did the key things well on the track.
Nearly 2/10 quicker than his first heat. That's what he wanted in heat 1, but both of them have to count.
Here he is coming into the S-curves. Doesn't hit that right wall. Aims the sled into the left wall, takes a decent tap there, and nice speed there as he goes into Kreisel. The best speed we've seen so far.
We will see faster. We saw into the mid-119s in the first heat from our very fastest sliders. But there is your race leader, Matt Antoine from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. Next up is Ironman. This is Sunbin Yoon of Korea. Ironman on the helmet, Batman logo on the sled. Looks like there's a joker somewhere around. The snow starts once more. Canadian coach Charles lays the Bromley sled on the ice. And this kid, so much potential. He's already had Korea's first medal, nearly got one in Lake Placid, but he forgot his starting bib. He could easily have been in the medals in his first 2 races.
Yeah, amazing talent from Korea here. They have the Olympics coming up in 3 years, and to have an athlete like this in their program already getting medals on, it's fantastic.
And part of the secret is his electrifying getaway. 4:65, he was 3rd fastest starter in the field.
Yeah, so fast at the start. Such a compact athlete, so strong, so quick off the block.
Not as quick as Antoine onto the Kreisel. Lots of footwork there. He's dropped to 10th. He'll drop another one.
This is going to be really close at the bottom.
Very, very close to the line. 1:14.2, a kilometre now down to the American. 100th in it. He's going to be in the red at the next clock. Big skid through the final corner. Kills his speed. Drops 7 spots.
Well, he had it until the bottom of the track, and then going uphill, skidding sideways, that just killed all his time there.
You could almost watch the sled slowing right down.
Here he is. This is the exit of Kreisel through the chicane. He's flopping around a little bit, which is going to cost him a bit of time. Now, this is going uphill. He's gone around the echo curve. This is the second to last corner. He's going uphill, and he's going to go sideways. And all that is doing is braking. He's just stopping the sled. Like, you can see how soft the ice is and the mark that the sled is making in the ice.
Often say with rounded runners you don't have the braking effect that a square-edged ice skate does, but in these conditions, yeah, it really is very, very much the brakes on there. So lots to learn still for this young man. Only 4 races into his World Cup career. Next up is Dom Parsons of Great Britain. He too has claimed 1 World Cup medal. That was last year and in Calgary as well. Let's see if he can move up from 6th in the first heat. He was only 300ths off Axel Junk in 5th. Only 2/10 out of a potential medal spot. Well, Dom sponsored by Bromley Sports. 4:77, that's a very good getaway again.
Dom, another very good athlete, fast start. Here he is in the S-curves, nice and high in S3. Looking good in the bend away. See how he just uses his toes there to get the line that he wants.
1100s up, 1:17.7. Last 2 sleds have been 1:18s. Gap's going to come down. He's already in the red, losing ground to Matt Antoine. 1:14.8 is good speed, though. He won't catch the American. I don't think it's going to be close, but he'll be in 2nd spot. 10th behind. Matt Antoine continues his rise up the order. Matt's former sliding buddy now coaching the Brits. Offers a little bit of applause there.
Das told me you had no regular training this week. That makes it kind of
Tom will be decidedly disappointed not to hold on to his position in the top 6.
He really will be disappointed. It was a pretty good run though, but just didn't have that speed.
And again, maybe the conditions have changed too much for the setup that he'd chosen. 5 to go. Don Parsons in second. Matt Antoine of the USA leads here in Königssee.
Aber auf der Liste hatten einen Gameplan, wie man so sagt in den USA, und haben das dann ganz offensichtlich sehr, sehr gut umgesetzt. Matthew Antoine.
Final 5 sleds in Königssee, Bavaria. Race 4 in the Viessmann FIBT Men's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven alongside me, Ben Sanford, watching as Junior World Champion Axel Jung gets ready for Germany. He's a 2012 World Champ, 4th, 5th, 4th this year. Can the 23-year-old take a medal here? 5th after the first of our 2 heats.
Yeah, it's time for Axel to make a statement. It's a German track here, new athlete on the World Cup, and he really wants to show that the Germans know what they're doing in Königssee.
Well, he's among the top 3 fastest starters. He was the best German performance in the first heat.
Nice line coming out of the S-curves, a little bit of a skid on the exit, but it was okay.
What about the speed? Has he got any? He needs 118s high. He's got 118.0. 117.9, that's not enough. He was only 1400s in front of Matt Antoine for the first heat. He'll be in the red. He is in the red. 112.5 is shocking speed. He's gambled the wrong way on setup and the track has gone away from him. He'll drop 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 places. 4 places back. Matt Antoine moves in, guaranteed at least 5th place. Well, it is about educated choices when you set the sled up for the conditions that you hope you will meet an hour after you have to finish adjusting it when you're at the end of the run.
Yeah, that's a really disappointing result for Axel and for the German team here in Königssee. They're not going to have someone on the podium.
Well, they had a podium with Anja Huber yesterday in the women's skeleton race, her first in a long while. But you're right, it's going to take something freakish for him. A slew of disqualifications. In fact, he's not even the top German now. That is Kilian von Schleinitz. Well, you can hear the Latvians cheering at the top of the track, and it's for one man, our World Cup points leader. Yellow jersey always rests easy on his shoulders. He's so used to carrying it. Won the season opener in Lake Placid, won in Calgary, won last week in Altenburg. He's 3 for 3. But he's only 4th after the first heat. This is where the medals will be decided, with no disrespect to leader Matt Antoine. 1500s cover the top 4. Can Martin Stukos do it? Is he going to win it or bin it? Ben, he's going to have to produce something very special.
But he's used to doing that. He produces something special most weeks. He's fantastic on this track, like he is on every track. And amazing start. Got a big lead already. He's going to be aiming for the gold medal here.
Extra flurries of snow coming down. He won the €100,000 Triple Crown here last season.
Just working a little bit there in the bend away, trying to get the line that he wants going into Kreisel. Nice and smooth through Kreisel. He's so good in Kreisel normally.
Not as quick as Matt Antoine. Didn't have the speed.
Yeah, and you're right, he's losing time here.
1:15 at the bottom for Antoine. 1:13.4. That's plainly average. 2800s are over Antoine. He'll hold the lead, but he's going to need somebody to give him a medal here. 51.68. 2/10 slower than his first run. Well, everybody on the fine edge at the extreme limits of performance makes a miscalculation somewhere. This might be his day to have made it.
Yeah, it's unusual to see Martins in 4th place after the first heat, and it wasn't a perfect run, and he's often making skeleton look very easy, and he just had a few troubles here. Coming out of the S-curves here, and you can see him looking in the sled, just skidding as it tries to get onto the line that he wants. Takes that tap there, which is where you want to take it. Here he is in Echo Corner at the bottom of the track. Not the fastest speed, 11th fastest speed.
Way down there, way down there. And again, you've got to look at the setup not being right for the conditions. I'm sure he hasn't forgotten how to slide since last week and last year and the year before. Well, he's a humble winner because he knows it can come and go just as easily. Now, the question is, we had Alana Myers-Taylor nailed on for victory in the women's bobsleigh race yesterday. She crashed out of the lead. Can our top three hang on? Alexander Tretyakov, always a medal threat. Third after the first heat and a great start, 4.60.
Well, so fast at the start. He really makes pushing the sled look really easy. Nice line through the S-curves. He's going to have to get the bend away right and get Kreisel right.
Our reigning world champion, he's also our reigning Olympic champion. He is the man who can. 1:17.8 slower by nearly half a kilometre than Martin Stukov's 700s. He's going behind at the next clock. Surely he needs 1:14. Oh, barely enough. This is going to be to the 100th of a second. Oh, he's starting to pull away again from Martin Stukovs to guarantee himself perhaps some chance of at least one medal. And he takes it 51.61 again, 51.37 in the first heat. The track is not giving the speed to these later comers. But he has the lead over Martin Stukovs with 2 to go.
Well, that surprises me at the bottom of the track that he was able to pick up that much time. I thought he was struggling there with some of his lines at the bottom, but it ended up being fast.
Well, he did the same in the first heat. The start was brilliant, but his last 2 or 3 corners are what put him in the top 3.
You can see him coming out of the groove there, and the groove just sort of throws him to the right a little bit, and he's got to correct that straight away. Here he is, out of Kreisel, into the flick-flacks or the chicane. A lot of control here, just going a little bit sideways as he goes into that left-hand corner.
Well, he finds speed out of Echo that nobody else seems to be able to mine, or very few. Alexander Tretyakov, the race leader. But what about this kid, Nikita Tregibov? Just a couple of hundreds off the lead from the first heat. His second ever World Cup race. Could he take the gold away from Latvia? It is so close, the blink of an eye could make the difference.
This would be a huge statement from Nikita coming out here today and winning a medal.
19 years old. Before he even competed in the World Cup, he took 6th in the Winter Games in Sochi. So we know that he's high caliber material.
Another young athlete new to the World Cup, so much talent. That's one of the great things about the season after the Olympics. So many people have left, and we've got these new athletes who are just doing incredibly well.
Well, something dramatic has happened to his sled after the first heat. He was greased lightning in heat 1. He's half a second back now, and the gap is growing. Well, this is going to put Martin Stukovs back into the medals. This is going to put Matt Antoine into 3rd, Dom Parsons into 4th. He's going to drop behind Kilian von Schleinitz, perhaps in 5th position. No, just holds off von Schleinitz. And that means Tretyakov is at least in the silver medal position. But there's no question, when you watch this kid start and the way he slides, he's going to win races and win medals sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Someday soon he's going to be on the podium.
That someday soon might come as soon as next week.
Here you see him coming out of S4 into the long bend away. Takes that tap. He's looking good, just using his toes a little bit to get that line through the bottom of the bend away. Get set up nice for the Jena corner and into Kreisel. Good form on the sled. It was a decent run, he just didn't have any speed or time.
Yep, he still looked pretty happy with it. I think those are probably his best 2 runs ever down this Königssee track. And now then, with Alexander Tretyakov, the world and Olympic champion, leading, with Martin Stukovs in 2nd and Matt Antoine in 3rd, the final slider is Thomas Stukovs. 3 silver medals in the 3 races so far this season. This is his time, but is this his place?
Thomas, such a nice guy. Really hoping he does this here.
I don't think there'll be too many people that would wish him not to get the medal. Most of them will be wearing the blue coats of Russia, perhaps, but starts a fraction slower than Tretyakov, 1700 slower at the start.
He's going to have to slide really well here to pick up that time.
He's not going to do it. 4600's back. He can't find half a second on the Olympic champion. Not here.
But he's looking so relaxed and comfortable on the sled through the bottom of the bend away.
Speed's not there. 1:16.9.
Nice line and Kreisel.
Down to 7th place. Disaster for Thomas Ducours. This is Alexander Tretyakhov's gold medal. 1:12.9. Woeful speed. He has gone the wrong way with the setup, either not changing it or changing it. And he's going to plunge down out of the top 10 nearly. 8th place as Alexander Tretyakov has his first win of the season. Martins Ducours takes the silver that Thomas has had all year. And Matt Antoine of the USA claims the bronze medal. Wow, the last two sliders suddenly had nothing, either in the sled or in the track or somewhere, Matt. Wow.
This has got to be something to do with the weather as well. You can see it snowing at the top of the track here, and that's going to be slowing the track down for the athletes. And this was a good run, but he just didn't have any speed. And so whether it's his setup or there's snow in the track and that's going to be slowing him down, really unfortunate for Thomas.
1700s and Tretyakov at the start alone, and the gap just widened, and he's saying it all slowed down. I think the last two guys just ran into a bit of snow on the track, and that acts like a break. And that means that for the first time this season, our world and Olympic champion Alexander Tretyakov is a race winner in the World Cup. He's been training up in Europa Cup in Europe, and now a World Cup gold medal in only his second start of the season. That is going to vault him way back up the leaderboard in terms of World Cup rankings. Bronze medal last week in Altenburg, gold medal here. He certainly has not forgotten much about sliding over the summer. Of course, we go next week to St. Moritz, which was the venue where he won the World Championship 2 years ago. Tretyakov the winner from Martins Ducours and Matt Antoine. Don Parsons, 4th place again, ahead of Nikita Tregubov. Kilian von Schneilitz meeting him in the middle as they went one down the order and the other one up the order from opposite ends of the top 10. Thomas Ducours ending up in 8th place. Just ran into a bit too much weather even for him to deal with. Well, there are the results in the top 20 after World Cup number 4, the Viessmann FIBT Skeleton Men's Trail here in Königssee, Bavaria. Well, the weather continues to close down. Still more action to come here today. Stay with us. Well, outside of our window, Ben Sanford, actual snowflakes now coming down. We've hardly seen any of that. And those last two, particularly Tregubov, who was in 3rd place, in 2nd place rather, and Thomas Ducours, who was last on the ice, they just, I mean, the speed just fell off the sled.
Yeah, it really makes me wondering what's been happening with the sweeping at the top of the track. I don't know after which sliders they've been sweeping the track and getting rid of the wet snow, but maybe someone had swept before Alexander, and then the last two sliders just had a dirty track with too much ice and snow at the top.
Well, Tretyakov didn't have better speed either than Martins Ducours or Axel Jung, or indeed Matt Antoine. His speeds were lower until he got down into the covered section through the doodles and the final corners where he really picked it up. So it looks as though the conditions were still pretty much the same for him, but the last two just seem to have basically walked into a wall of weather, and that has slowed them right down. So I know it is an outdoor sport, and that happens, and I guess sometimes you win and sometimes you lose from the weather.
Yeah, you're right. It is an outdoor sport, and it's just unfortunate for the men's skeleton that 2 weeks in a row now we've had disruptions in the race because of the weather.
And unfortunately, particularly that it was for the last two sliders that it really started to clamp down a bit. You can see it now blowing quite heavily just down beside our commentary position. Well, we've still got a two-man bobsleigh race to get underway here today. The 4-man in St. Moritz today was cancelled because of 1.5 meters of overnight snow. Basically, the track was full and they couldn't empty it in time. So we're expecting to see Winter Wonderland when we go to St. Moritz next week. But at the moment, the weather is probably going to play a part in the two-man bobsleigh race as it has in our skeleton race this morning. Snow has changed the face of the race here in Königssee, Bavaria. The last two sliders in the second heat have lost speed. Martin Stukur's still the World Cup leader from Thomas. His brother Axel Junk, the junior world champion, in third. Matt Antoine moves up to fourth. And Alexander Tretiakov, the race winner here, now from 0 2 weeks ago up to 13th place in the standings. Nikita Tregobov, his teammate, following in his wake. Well, a snow-determined race for 18 of our top 20. It was relatively clear and a bit too much wet snow on the track for the last two sliders who were in the gold and silver after heat one. Has really cost them dearly. Thomas Ducours ending up in 8th, Nikita Tregobov in 5th place. That left Matt Antoine on the right in the podium in 3rd, Martin Ducours on the left in 2nd, and Alexander Tretiakov as the race winner. So flowers will be presented down there in the snow. And well, Tretiakov, long gone almost from memory of the days when all he could do was start and then he hit everything on the way down. He really drives well. He's the world champion, he is the Olympic champion. He's a genuine threat on any track.
Yeah, such a good slider. You see him here so relaxed on the sled, really nice position. He's got good equipment, a great start. He really is the all-round package now.
And doing enough there just as the weather closed in. He was the man left holding the parcel as the music stopped. Gold medal, #1 of the season for him. Martin Ducours takes a silver and Matt Antoine a bronze. That's second bronze medal of the season for the Olympic bronze medalist Matt Antoine. Lake Placid and now here in Königssee. Two global centres for sliding, Lake Placid and Berchtesgaden. Well, let's get down and hear what our winners thought of it. Here's John Morgan.
Okay. Matt Antoine, boy, nice comeback from the 7th or 8th position to a bronze.
Yeah, it was definitely a better second run. I had some issues on the first run. Obviously today's weather kind of threw a bit of a different game at us than we had in training. Had to make some adjustments, but really pleased with run 2 and pleased to move up.
Congratulations, medal. Hey, silver medal here, still the World Cup leader, Martins, but interesting track, Königssee.
Yeah, interesting track and did a lot of mistakes. Actually, it was far away sliding compared what I did in trainings, and also tricky weather conditions. I was expecting so much snow as it is now, but that's the race outside, and that makes the race interesting.
Congratulations again. The Russian Rocket, gold medal, first gold medal.
Да, первая золотая медаль в сезоне. Я очень счастлив, доволен. Оказался сюрприз для меня. Не думал, что смогу сегодня победить. Большое спасибо всем тренерам, персоналу и всем болельщикам, кто болел, переживал за меня.
He says it was a very, very interesting race. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to our Olympic gold, silver and bronze medalists on the podium in the same order as they were in Sochi last February. Well, we head on now with the men's skeleton trail to the mecca of ice sliding, to St. Moritz, where it is long, very fast and very silent. But lots more action still to come from Königssee. Thanks to John Morgan, thanks to Ben Sanford and Elizabeth Varche for comments in the booth. Thanks to you for joining us. For the whole TV crew here, I'm Martin Haven saying we'll see you next time. Bye for now.